Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty with another edition of this week's vlog. It's been an interesting week, been a busy week, been a week with more confidence, and just a great week overall. But before we get into that, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Dustin. I'm a middle-aged autistic man, been diagnosed at in the age of 13 back in 1998. I've had some sort of autistic traits most of my life. Um, I've been living on my own for over 7 or 8 years almost, and I've been having a part-time job for just about 16 years now. So I am an example of what living well on the autism spectrum is, and that proved many people that I can do it. I can make it out there. As hard as it can seem, as hard as it can be, as 2026 continues to show me more examples of why it's important to take care of my mental health, take care of everything, follow routines, be rigid to the letter. We learn more and more in 2026 about that, I feel, than anything. We see the signs, we know how important mental health is, we hear it talked about, um, but we keep going, we keep doing as hard as it sometimes can be. It matters to us, it matters to anyone, but most of all, it is the moving pieces that keep me going. And this week was just amazing, proving those things that I had long battled and things like that. So, with that being said, and that caveat being said, we're segueing into the fact that I'm accepting life for what it is today. Life, as many know, has been changed the last few years. There's been lots of changes, and they haven't always been easy for me to accept, be willing to acknowledge, know where I fall in life, that I have to carve my own life out of things, like I said last week, define what that life is for me, where that is, what it has to be, what it looks. It may look untraditional, it may, be different, but I have to also take the initiative on my part to do things to improve my quality of life, do more things on my own, be more brave when it hurts the most. Step up and just take one for the team sometimes and just show people that I have what it takes to thrive and survive out there, even when it's hard. That's, I think, the most important part is when it's hard, we have to do what we have to do to take care of our mental health, to keep everything in line, to, keep our composure, be able to hold ourselves together and see that the things that are prescribed to us, the things that we need to do, help us do that. It was a hard thing for me to accept, the last few months, but we're continuing to see that progress. And I continue to see that. I understand the value of doing so, why it's important to do things, things help me have the success of the things I need to do, the things that I have to do, the things that I need to do, and show that I can do things to be a part of the team, be successful, be contained, be restrained, be able to not be, a threat or be somebody who's scared of or concerned about, seeing the way that needs to be in life, seeing the way that it has to be. And for me, that took a lot of reality to accept that is what it is. And, as hard as the past, I want to say over 7 years was, I had to learn to let go of those old behaviors, those old habits, and understand that the right people will come into my life. They will stay in my life and they will accept me for who I am, and for my personal needs. And even if it doesn't have to be along with their values, they will respect me. They will honor me if they want to be with me. And that was something that was a big, I would say, win in that regard, in not having to put on a fake persona just to be wanted, to be liked, to be there for the likes and the follows, and understand that bedtime is bedtime, and that's what we do. We sleep, and we're getting good sleep. We're getting good quality sleep, And, it's not about having to, do things of the past that were hurtful, not right, letting go of past feelings, letting go of past hate, letting go of things we didn't believe we could do, understanding, if something is believed to be a problem, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is my problem, if the percentage is very low, then I could be the higher percentage. Just learning to love me for me, be me, and in my own way. And that helped me get the to prove the flawed thoughts that I had so long about myself, and see that life is worth living, and we have to keep pushing through no matter how hard it is sometimes. And it can be hard sometimes. Sometimes it does hurt. Sometimes life's just horrible the way things are, and it drains you and it puts you out. And you deal with other things too, like burnout and having to recoup from a long week. Sometimes things are just part of autism, and autism at times sucks, as somebody I know wrote. And as hard as it can be to admit that things have to be different for you, things have to be challenging for you, things have to look different, have to be different. You see the world differently. It's important not to beat yourself up on the moments when things just don't go perfect, just don't go the way you planned, or things just don't aren't are harder. And I think part of that was accepting that why would I want things to be harder and struggle more without understanding things like medication can help go a long way in making that better. And they always did, but I never saw it. And now I see it. It's proving its work, it's showing its worth. And, I'm being patient with myself. I'm accepting that part of my life for what it is. I know I need it. I know it's a valued part of my life. It's what keeps me going. People are seeing it. People know when I'm not my best. So I see it more and more every day. And, even more, I see it when people don't act, don't, or other people don't do what's needed. And, how independence, living on your own can be a blessing and a curse if you don't keep things in line and you don't do what you need to do, as hard as it can be sometimes. Yes, your mind can be a devil's workshop, as someone once told me. And it can be hard sometimes to fight the battle in your head, to not do what you need to do, take care of yourself, to not do what just what you have to do because you feel like you have the freedom, you're the king of the world and you have the world by the rear end. But sometimes it takes just being real with yourself and saying, hey, why would I want to feel horrible about myself? Why would I want to feel sick or down and out? And why would I want to put myself in danger time and time and time again when I can do what's right? And I think part of that was one of the reasons that I started to accept and love me for who I was, and likewise others would too. They don't want to see me hurt. They don't want to see me in a state that's not healthy for me. They want to accept me for who I am, love me for who I am, be who I want to be, and understand that there are limits, uh, capabilities and things, but also at the same time, I have to be willing to push myself out of my comfort zone and do what's needed. And this week has been all about, being better at myself, doing things that are right, just being the brave person, even when no one's watching, because others are counting on me to be brave. And, I do it for them sometimes, but I do it for myself too. And I see that, things are very important when we do things that make us feel important. They keep us together, they hold us together, they let us see that life is worth living. And as hard as, as I have to know that life is what it is today. My family situation is not going to change. It's just what it's going to be. That too is going to be a thing. And I have to learn to live. I have to learn to grow with it. I have to learn to accept it. And all while that, love me for me and be willing to work on myself, have my own confidence, my self-worth, my purpose, and just keep going because I matter. And so do you. And you are loved and you are enough. And I hope that nobody ever forgets that, steals it, or the memories you have about your life away from you. So, if with that being said, I want to thank you again for listening. Be sure to tap that notification bell, like this video, share this video. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X, Pinterest, TikTok at Dustin's Dynasty. I have a website, www.dustinsdynastyusa.com. And if you forgot anything, it's all under the link tree at Dustin's Dynasty. Again, I want to thank you for listening. Let's have a good weekend. Let's do better. Let's be our best. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.